Success in life comes down to three simple letters. But here's the twist. Most people completely miss the real secret behind the letter D, and it's costing them everything they dream about.
That's really intriguing, especially since we're always looking for these magic formulas for success. What makes these particular Ds so different?
Well, it's fascinating because this framework comes from a coach who actually lived it out in a pretty dramatic way. The three Ds, dream, desire, and do, aren't just theory. He and his wife started with literally nothing in Turkey, just a vision of opening their own gym in the United States.
Hmm. You know what's interesting about starting from zero like that? Research shows that entrepreneurs who start with fewer resources often show higher rates of innovation and creative problem solving.
That's exactly what happened here. The first D, dream, is about visualization, creating this detailed mental picture. Studies have shown that visualization actually activates many of the same neural pathways as physical practice, which is why so many Olympic athletes use it.
So, if we're talking about the power of visualization, how does that connect to the second D's desire?
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. The coach describes desire as being truly hungry for success. When they returned to the US, they had no money, no house, but that hunger drove them forward. Studies show that about 80% of people say they want to write a book, but only about 1% actually do it. That's the difference desire makes,
That statistic really puts it in perspective. Wanting something and being hungry for it are clearly very different things.
right? And here's what's fascinating. The coach points out that many adults just exist in this sort of autopilot mode, living for the weekend. A recent Gallup poll showed that only about 15% of workers worldwide feel engaged in their jobs. That's what happens when you're missing that real desire.
You know what makes their story even more remarkable? The fact that they've maintained this drive for 35 years. That's not just about achieving a goal, that's about sustaining it.
And that brings us to the third D, do. The action component is where everything comes together. But here's the key insight. Action without the dream and desire is just busy work. It's like trying to build a house without a blueprint or motivation. You're just moving bricks around.
That makes me think about how different their lives might have been if they'd stayed in their comfort zone instead of taking that leap from Turkey.
Well, the numbers tell an incredible story. Their gym has impacted thousands of families over 3.5 decades. That's the power of alignment between dream, desire, and do. They've essentially created a legacy that extends far beyond their initial vision.
That long term perspective really challenges our current culture of instant gratification, doesn't it?
Exactly. And here's what's crucial about their approach. Success isn't just about those initial bursts of inspiration. The coach talks about something called trick season, these intentional periods where you step back and realign your 3Ds. It's like regular maintenance for your goals.
That's such a practical approach, having these designated times for dreaming and skill building. But how do you maintain that level of desire over such a long period?
Well, research in behavioral psychology shows that sustained motivation comes from connecting your goals to a larger purpose. In their case, what started as a personal dream evolved into this mission of developing young athletes and impacting families. That's what kept their desire burning for 35 years.
You know what strikes me most about their story? The courage it must have taken to start with literally nothing but a dream.
And that's really the key takeaway. When you align these 3Ds properly, you create something that not only fulfills your personal dreams, but serves a greater purpose. It's about building a legacy that extends far beyond your initial vision.
That's such a powerful framework for thinking about success, not just as personal achievement, but as something that creates lasting impact.
Exactly. And as we wrap up, here's what's most important to remember. Success isn't just about working hard, it's about aligning your dreams, your desires, and your actions in a way that creates meaningful change. When you get those 3Ds working together, that's when the magic happens.